Stop, you're distracting me. Okay, so I had barbed wire, and basically there's this dude named Henry and Rose, and like most guys back in those days, he had a wife, and his wife had a garden, and like her garden kept getting broken into by like animals or whatever, and it's like she wanted him to like come up with something to like stop making the animals come in, so he's like, I'm gonna create a fence around your garden, sweetie. So then he's like, he invented the barbed wire fence. And so it was like such a great invention, and she was like, I'm so proud of you, honey. So then they both took it to the county fair, and they were like, let's present this to the world and see what happens. So they presented it at the county fair, and they were like explaining how since there's like an extra wire, it like pricks the animals, and like that's the best like type thing. It doesn't hurt the animals, but like protects your stuff or whatever. And three guys, Isaac, Jacob, and Joseph, they were like, that is an awesome invention. So then, oh my gosh, stop, you're distracting me. So then Joseph and Isaac paired up because Isaac was like an old like manufacturer, and he was already trying to invent it, but he didn't know how until he saw like Henry's design. So they paired up, and they're like, we're gonna have this and we're gonna sell it. So to sell it, they had to get patent pending, so they like signed up for patent pending. But like the first time they signed up, they actually ended up like getting rejected. And so Jacob was so mad at this that he was like, you guys can't do this to me because like that's my invention. So then he filed for patent pending, and he was suing Joseph because he was like, he stole my design, he stole my invention. So then it was like, okay, in the end, basically like Joseph still won like this, he still won the lawsuit because it's like he had already put in paperwork first, and then Jacob, he was just like, you get patent pending first. So he claims that he's like the inventor of the barbed wire, while Joseph is technically like still named the father of the barbed wire in history. And today we use it as a weapon, and we used to use it as a weapon in warfare because in like World War I, we would like create these barriers so that when like the enemy would attack, they would get like entangled and end up like being mangled or die or like lose a leg or something. And then like we'd use it in like our prison camp so that like nobody could get out because it's like strong or whatever. And then we still use it for like protecting animals or whatever today, because since it pricks them, they don't want to get through, so they're like, that's how we keep cattle like engaged or whatever. And that is how barbed wire has changed America.
Okay, so Coca-Cola was founded or born in Atlanta, Georgia. And it was founded by like this doctor named Pemberton. And so he found the Coca-Cola syrup, to be exact. Then he decides to go put in a jar and walks down the street to this pharmacy. And then this guy named Jacob tasted it. And he was like, oh my goodness, this is so good. So he decides to put up for sale for like 5 cents. Then Pemberton teams up with like this carbonated water drink, and then the syrup or the drink became like this really delicious and like refreshing drink. And like their accountant Frank decided to name the drink Coca-Cola. And since he thought like the 2 C's would look good in like advertising, that's where like that famous Spencerian logo you see Coca-Cola comes from. And They like said that the drink was all delicious and refreshing to people. And then like on April 23rd, 1985, they changed up the formula. So like it was like a big risk for their company. So it was like a huge risk. So I wasn't sure if they like, I'm confused. I'm sorry. And then it's like good, like it affects our society now because it's still like a famous drink, and like it makes children happy. It has caffeine in there for them. Yeah.
So my invention was Kevlar. It's cool, you know. Boom boom. But so there was this lady named Miss Warlock. I'll just call her Miss Susie because I can't remember her name right now. And she had a father, like we all do for the most part, and she would work with her father until he died. And he got her to be a chemist. Eventually, somehow, I don't know, I'm like confused. And so she decided to pursue chemists with DuPont Company, and DuPont wanted to make the super cool like materials because that's what they did. They would work with like synthetic fibers and all that junk. So basically, she developed her research, and in the like 1960s, I think it was 1965, they're all like, hey, you should make a product that we should use for tires. And we're like, okay. So she's like, well, let me just mix a few things. So she had some stuff brewing, and she's like, but boom, I have Kevlar, because you would use the concoction to make a fiber. Yeah, so the fiber was turned into Kevlar, which turned out to be like a durable synthetic fiber that was used for like bulletproof stuff and gloves. So today we use it mostly for bulletproof stuff and gloves, and yeah. And fun fact of the day, of the morning, is it was actually made during a time when there was like an anticipated gas shortage. So they're like, well, let's make a tire that is faster and doesn't use as much gas. So yeah, she's like, let's go. And Susie created Kevlar for DuPont Company. Ta-da.